John Fahey innovated this kind of music, which came to be called American Primitive, and John Fahey was a Takoma Park native. So when we started to talk about doing a festival of American primitive music, which has never happened before, the first thing in my mind is it has to be in Takoma Park. I don't want to see this festival in New York or Philadelphia. It should be here, and I think everyone agreed with that. And Takoma Park has really been the center of gravity for this music, the kind of the spiritual home of it, and so it was just a natural to bring the festival here and bring the music to the people of Takoma Park. It's really been wonderful. John Fahey named his label Takoma Records, and a lot of the great early players of this music were on that label, like Robbie Basho and Leah Kotka and Mark Fossen, who will be playing shortly. And Takoma Records, it doesn't exist anymore except as a footnote. So to celebrate those musicians, and of course the music lives on, and many of those players that are taking that music in new directions are here in Takoma Park this weekend and showing where the music has gone. We wanted to bring in all of the players on our list, and some of them are coming from Spain and the UK and from California, so it was very expensive to bring all these musicians here and pay them, and we wanted the program to be accessible to the public, so people in Takoma Park can also see shows maybe if they can't buy a full pass. So we came up with this kind of split model where we have pass holders, events in the community center, and then those tickets are helping to pay for all the free and open performances that are throughout the community and the different restaurants and venues. And I think it's working pretty well.
I am one of the organizers of the 1,000 Incarnations of the Rose Festival, and I have been involved with solo guitar performance as a filmmaker and as a performer for about the last 10 years. I live in the Philadelphia area, which is where one of the leading proponents of this music, Jack Rose, was living for a while, and he was doing amazing music with his good friend Glenn Jones. And basically, I was going to see their shows, and one day I said to them, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker. I'd like to make a film about you." And they came to me and said, "Sure, that sounds interesting. Sounds cool." And so we did a project together called "The Things That We Used to Do," which is a performance video of them playing this kind of music. And through that, I also met a lot of other players that were also involved with the music, and basically just met more and more people over the years and did videos for other people, and that's sort of how I got involved with the music.
I started playing traditional folk and blues when I was about 13 years old. I learned in West Virginia. I used to go down there in the summers. So that's a little over 30 years ago. And I started playing more in this style, I think, about maybe 20 years ago. The one thing to say about it is it's very personal, and it's a way of interpreting, I think, influence. And the festival and what it means to the festival is about certain players, John Fahey especially, and that style of guitar is something that has drawn a lot of people in, and I think taking that technique and then using the personal influences of the player goes a long way to defining American Primitive.
The term American Primitive was actually coined by someone regarding about John Fahey, a term that he was never particularly enamored about. It was just kind of like a catch-all for the type of solo guitar music that used syncopation, melody, counter-melody, all in one instrument, making it sound almost as if it was an orchestral piece. And it was based on, in my mind, a lot of the early American blues, turn-of-the-century music, and other sources also.
It borrows a lot of musical qualities. Like there's a lot of blues influences in it. There's a lot of East Indian ragas influences in it. There's classical guitar music influences like Bartok in it. There's even Spanish flamenco styles that are in it.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
There you go. Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Zane!
Hey Akil, what are you doing? Taking a selfie with the trash?
Basically, I'm taking a picture of the trash so I can send it with the app.
The app?
Yeah, MyTKPK, the Takoma Park mobile app.
MyTKPK.
Basically, the app allows you to make a request or send a report to the city for any type of maintenance or, in this case, cleaning up trash. Here, let me show you. I'll take a picture, send it with the app, and like that. Now the city can come and clean it up.
Then can I report this street light in front of my house? It has been out for several weeks.
Of course. You can also go to the city's website, tacomaparkmd.gov/mytkpk.
And most of the venues, or at least all the ones I were at, were packed. And everyone I think really had a wonderful time hearing the music. And tonight is really the first night of the community center performances. I should mention also the Azalea Room is available for people who don't have a pass and want to hear the music. We'll have a video feed and audio feed in the Azalea Room. So I think tonight's going to be another wonderful night of music. We have some some real headliners playing, Glenn Jones and Peter Lang, or Peter Walker, I should say. Yeah. American Big Guitar music is really about using the six-string steel string guitar as the focus of emotional and very kind of introspective music. That it's not so much about the virtuosity or not so much about any particular single genre, but bringing together all the influences from blues, from Eastern music, from minimalism, and bringing it in a very personal way and having personal expression and original compositions. So that's a very long-winded way of saying it's a unique personal vehicle for creativity with the guitar.
So American Primitive, I suppose, is this combination of moderately avant-garde, hypnotic music that's drawn from a foundation of, I guess, of American folk music, you know, in both the style and the scales it uses and things like that, and inspirations.
American Primitive style is a style that was originated with John Fahey, who was a local from here, from Takoma Park, and he was the one to really put together all his musical background into his own type of music. And I think what he achieved was that he really put his he could put his personal experience, like his vital experience, into his music through learning from the music from others. So.
Actually, I've been playing in bands for years, and I don't know if I was like totally sour to the experience at that point, but I think there's a lot of appeal to me to just being able to write my own music and just perform it myself and not have to worry about, you know, getting other people involved and coordinating that kind of thing, and also just kind of not relying on technology really either. It's just such like a simple thing. I just, you know, grab my guitar, get on the train, go to wherever I need to play. It's kind of something kind of nice about that. I started playing out the kind of thing I'm doing now. Up to that point I was mostly playing bass in rock bands, and I've been doing kind of like old like pre-war ragtime style guitar, and I got into just doing the open tunings and all that and writing my own music.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Living in Philadelphia, I got to see firsthand Jack Rose play guitar, and you get to see him around the neighborhood and whatnot. And I found out about American primitive guitar because of Jack Rose. But there's such an overlap between old blues players and what some guys are doing now, and what the label American primitive guitar is. I'm not a lyricist, I just play instrumental pieces, and to be able to express how I'm feeling inside with an instrument as opposed to just trying to write words with it, the tonal qualities of how I'm feeling, I felt like that was the most expressive for what I was doing.
When I first heard John Fay, I started playing it. I was in the Air Force. It was about 1975, I think. In 1977, John signed me to his label. So I went to California and we made a record. But then the label went belly up and they were sold to Chrysalis. So the record didn't come out till years later.
I think that the emotional content in the music is very pronounced. I think that the individual player's emotional exposure is sometimes a little bit more out there, you know. I mean, you can really see or hear what the player is trying to really bring out of themselves. But like I had mentioned before, I think that stylistically, because it's such an individual style, like influence is maybe a little bit more idiosyncratic from player to player within the style. And I sometimes think that the other genres of music, and particularly guitar styles, sometimes are more dogmatic than idiosyncratic. And maybe from the outside, this style could seem that way, but to me it's quite different. And even though there's a lot of people playing technically similar, it's the individual player that you really hear.
Mainly emotional. It's not technical wizardry or anything like that. It's just from your heart, your gut.
I was playing a show at the Rhizome Performance Space, which is in Takoma Park, and one of the directors, Steve Korn, came to me after the show and said, "Hey, I know you know a lot of these guys, and did you also know that John Fahey, who's one of the first people who kind of like started this music, is from Takoma Park?" I said, "Of course I know that. Everyone knows that." And he said, "Well, I was thinking about maybe doing some kind of a festival around Takoma Park, around John Fahey, and around all the people that are sort of currently, working in this, idiom, And I said, that sounds like an exciting idea, because one of my other friends who is in the DVD, Glenn Jones, has just finished compiling this record, which is all of the early players, I think there's 6 or 7 of the early players of this type of music on this record. And he wrote these beautiful liner notes and talks about the history of the music. And he said it would be great to do a festival sort of in conjunction with the release of the record. So I put Steve and Glenn together, and we talked to a few other organizers who have skills putting art events together, Kathy Haar and Margaret Holt. And we just started planning it, and then Laura Barclay from Main Street Tacoma came to us and said, "We'd love to have you guys play all over Takoma Park and all of these different venues and really involve the city together." And then we brought in Sarah Daines from the city, and she said, "We have this beautiful facility in the auditorium of the community center. We'd like to stage the event there." And all of those things together created the event that we're part of now. Most festivals get put together over years, or at least for 12 or 8 months. We basically started talking about it in the summer, and it was pretty much like around September, October, things got really swinging, and so it's been a very short sort of production process, but I feel like all the pieces came together.
I got into blues music and Appalachian folk quite a few years ago when I was a punk originally. I played punk music and grunge music and all that stuff. Played in lots of very, very loud bands, and I still do. But like a lot of those guys, they really dug. There's a very famous track by Nirvana did on their Unplugged album by Leadbelly. So if you follow the tracks, you find this American folk music and blues. And just from that, you then discover that there's these guys who kind of took that and pushed it into that instrumental form, like American Primitive. So that's kind of basically, it was a simple trail of inspirations, really.
This is like a dream come true for me, because I'm getting to see all these amazing players, and also playing that I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm having a good time, and having the chance to meet all these amazing players for me is really a big deal. I discovered Mississippi John Hurt. He's a country bluesman, a player he was from the 20s, I think, and he was rediscovered in the 60s, and his playing is very accessible and it's really easy to connect with his playing, and that's how I started to discover the technique of playing. And then I went into John Fahey, but the one who really blew my mind was Glenn Jones, who's one of the curators of the festival. And when I discovered him, Glenn Jones, is when I decided I wanted to do this.
It's certainly never heard of anything quite like it, in terms of just having so many different players from all over the place coming together. I don't know. Yeah, it's great. Great to see everybody. Like a lot of early guys, like Max Oakes, Mark Fossen, and Don Bykoff, guys like that who've just been around forever, who really hadn't even considered that I'd be able to see them, and that's really cool. And there's also a lot of people kind of more in my age group who I know from touring and stuff. It's just great to meet up with them and see them play again, just all in one spot.
Hey Akil, what are you doing? Taking a selfie with the trash?
Basically, I'm taking a picture of the trash so I can send it with the app.
The app?
Yeah, My TKPK, the Takoma Park mobile app.
My TKPK?
Basically, the app allows you to make a request or send a report to the city for any type of maintenance, or in this case, cleaning up trash. Here, let me show you. I'll take a picture, send it with the app, and like that. Now the city can come and clean it up.
Then can I report this tree light in front of my house? It has been out for several weeks.
Of course. You can also go to the city's website, tacomaparkmd.gov/mytkpk.
John Fahey is a quite known musician, and although maybe the people haven't listened to him a lot, they know who he is and what he achieved with his music. So the thing in Spain is like, since guitar is a very common instrument and is really close to Spanish culture, people there are willing to listen solo guitar music always. So
to have all these players here, both the young people and the seasoned original players that are still with us, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, it's just something that I could never have imagined being a part of. It's one of the biggest honors of my life.
It's really wonderful to come into town and visit and get to see a part of the East Coast that I haven't really seen.
The festival was absolutely stupendous, bringing together guitarists from all over the world for this particular genre, which is rather an arcane kind of guitar playing. So the kind of sounds you can hear here and the people that I've met provided just a melting pot for me and for everyone else that came. So it was a terrific idea, and I hope that they do it once again in the future.
This music will live on, and everything that John Fahey started in Takoma Park, basically making his own records, selling them out of the back of his car in Takoma Park, is now so many different voices and so many different ways of expressing yourself through the guitar that all of these people share, and that's going to continue. And you can see here that I think we've created an event that is really about bringing the community of musicians and listeners together, and it's also about a place at a time, and we'll all be able to remember this event and share this event going into the future as well.
This kind of establishes Takoma Park, I think, as the place for American primitive music. So when the next festival rolls around, I think we should all talk about whether we're up for doing it again.